Okay, so to start, here's our thesis statement. This is the same thesis statement that I wrote for you last week. In 12 Energy Manager, 11's appeals to reason and ethos highlight the responsibility and fairness that jurors must exhibit in a democratic judicial process. So the first thing that I would stress is that if you notice our large sort of ideas in our claim that I have broadcast, this is exactly what I'll be discussing in every single example that I present you in this rhetorical analysis. And there are essentially three large associative ideas, and they are responsibility, fairness, democratic. Every example, I will highlight those values. Okay? Here's a topic sentence, a model topic sentence. And when you watch that tutorial on topic sentences, you will notice that this topic sentence does have those two components of an effective topic sentence. I've signaled my organizational choice. I've grouped my examples in chronological order. I'm going to start with examples from Act 1. And notice I have created a clear connection back to the thesis statement. By naming juror 11, I connect back, obviously, to my topic. By naming ethos and logos, I connect back. By naming these ideas, I explicitly connect back to fairness and democratic. There's a typo here. So that is what an effective topic sentence looks like. Here's an example that I'm going to elaborate on for you. By the way, again, my fear is that I'm putting the cart before the horse. We do need to talk about blending examples into paragraphs. We'll do that next week, okay? For now, let me just show you what commentary would look like, or whatever you want to call it. Interpretive commentary, elaboration. Your goal in a rhetorical analysis is to explain, here is why this juror uses this rhetoric. Here is the meaning that this juror is trying to construct here. Here is the message this juror is trying to broadcast to the other jurors. These aren't going to be perfect sentences because I'm writing them live in front of you, but they will hopefully achieve that, which is rhetorical analysis. Okay, so juror 11's statement and appeal to ethos. I do think that this is a strong ethical appeal. I do think that he is emphasizing shared values by an appeal to ethos by emphasizing a shared American value reinforces the importance of dissenting opinions in a democracy. He also creates or also constructs this moment of ethos and I think I want to really connect back to this idea of justice, because I think that's his whole point. I mean, what he's trying to do is say, unpopular opinions are okay here in this process, because the end goal to get this right, the end goal is for us to exact justice. That's the end goal. So I do want to comment on that. He also constructs this moment of ethos to remind the other jurors of the goal in this process. Okay, 1 second. Let me type this before I forget. To exact justice. Even if there are different, this isn't going to be great, differing opinions. Well, actually, let me say this. The goal of this in this process. I'm going to use a positive phrase, actually, that differing opinions can aid a juror in exacting justice. What did you say, Jude? Remind remind jurors of their responsibility in this process. I'll use an infinitive phrase to offer differing opinions with the goal of exacting justice. Okay, so why is this some fairly good elaboration, even though I just wrote it live and it's going to have, it's not perfect. Firstly, I have specifically explained how he's constructed an appeal to ethos. Okay, that's the first thing. The first step to analyzing rhetoric is being really clear, like, what exact appeal did he construct? And you'll notice that I'm very clear about it. He constructs an appeal to ethos. It's that shared values, expressing to the audience that you and we hold the same things to be, the same values to be important. Okay, that's that particular appeal. It's also a good moment of elaboration because it not only does it say he uses this appeal, where in a rhetorical analysis, if you leave it at that, it's ineffective. I mean, that's basically summary, right? You're basically just saying, hey, he used rhetoric. And that's the extent of your comment, which obviously is a very summative comment. Now, if it's going to be a rhetorical analysis, it needs to essentially stress this is why he used this rhetoric. Because he wanted to reinforce the importance of dissenting opinions in a democracy. Because he wanted to remind them of their responsibility in the process. And the responsibility isn't all for us to agree. The responsibility is, hey, offer your differing opinions so that we can be sure that we meet this goal of exacting justice. And again, just let me stress that when you watch the word glue tutorial, where I explain to you, this is how you achieve connectedness in a paragraph. Look at how I'm really explicitly, it's like at the forefront of my mind constantly as I'm crafting sentences to connect back to one or more of these ideas that are present in my main sentences. Okay? Notice how I'm constantly hitting them. Okay? And it's like I've taken, my wife likes to use this analogy. It's like I've taken a needle with thread on it. I've sewn through the thesis statement. I've sewn through the topic sentence. And then I proceed to sew through every sentence after that. So that every sentence has that string, that thread, sorry, going through it. Okay? So that's the goal in elaboration. And again, when you watch that word glue coherence graphic organizer, I will reinforce these principles exactly. Okay? So what I could do if I wanted to elaborate even further on this, I could explain how it also is an appeal to logos. Okay? And on one example, I would have a significant amount of interpretive commentary. That's why I'm saying 3 examples in a body paragraph, it's fine. Especially if you have the kind of interpretive commentary that this could turn into, in effect, be 3 to 4 sentences of analysis. Okay? Again, if your analysis gets to why, then you're doing an effective job with elaboration. If the extent of it is simply like, see, he uses rhetoric, it's an appeal to logos, then you are not. So just bear that in mind. All right? Any questions? All right.